Hello everybody, my name is Don Brown. I'm a program manager for Erie Residential. Today I'm going to be showing everyone how to use an electric Hoyer. So the first thing you want to do is obviously you want to make sure you have all the pieces to the Hoyer. There's typically going to be two pieces. There's the Hoyer itself, and then we have our Hoyer lift vest. When you're going to assist in this example, we're going to get someone out of the bed. We're going to use this shower bed as an actual bed, and we're going to show you how to lift someone out of the bed and get them into the wheelchair. So today we're going to first open this up, and there's two pieces to this. There's a wide piece that's up top. As you can see, that piece is a little bit wider than the bottom. The wide piece is always going to go in the lower portion of the body, and the smaller piece, which is up here, as you can see, it's not as wide. That's going to go towards the back. You always also want to know the front and the back. You'll always be able to know the back because there's always going to be some type of tag. And here is our tag here. So, with this being said, I'm going to give my assistant the bottom part, which is the wider part, because he's going to be working on the consumer's lower body. All right. We're going to lean the consumer over to the side. As we lean the consumer over to the side, we're going to start sliding the vest underneath the consumer. We want to make sure the top is near her shoulders and the bottom is clearly underneath her leg. We're going to roll her back. As we roll her back, we're going to roll her to us. Now we're going to continue to extend the strap. This is where you may need to do a little bit of pulling. From this point, we'll roll the consumer back. As you can see, the wider part is stretched, maybe a hamstring area. That's exactly what we want. So from here, we are going to bring in the Hoyer. Now in this situation, the Hoyer, give me one second. In this situation, the Hoyer legs are already closed. There's a handle on the Hoyer here. This can open up and close the Hoyer. We are going to need to utilize this when we put the consumer into the wheelchair. The legs will have to be wider. But for the bed, as you can see, there's a more narrow base, so we want to make sure that we close and it's at its narrowest point. From here, we will carefully slide the Hoyer in here. Once we get here, we're going to turn it in this direction so the clips will be nearer to these clips. From here, we are going to lock the Hoyer. There's clips down here at the bottom that we're just going to push down. That locks the Hoyer and prevents any movement. Now, on this vest, there's three levels. There's a black level. This is for our larger consumers. There's a purple level. This is for our medium-sized consumers. And there's a green level. That's going to be for our smaller consumers. And there's also a blue level. That's for our smallest consumers. For this consumer, we will utilize the green. And we're going to go to the top and the bottom. And we're going to slide these over and snap them in. Ensure that they're snapped. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Slide them over. I'll let him go first. He's in, and then we'll go here. Mine. Now, at this point, the consumer is snapped in. If the consumer is able, we can have them hold on to this middle piece. If the consumer can't do that, in this situation we have a consumer who can't hold on, we just have to be really careful and cautious. Now, when we move to the Hoyer, there's a red clip here. You want to push the clip and make sure it's turned all the way to the right. If it's not turned to the right and it's not up in this position, that's the safety position, the machine will not operate. A lot of times people say the machine's dead. You always want to check this safety and make sure that it's up. Now, if I turn it, you already heard a beep, the light's on, and if I press up, the consumer's already starting to be lifted. So at this point, my assistant will just make sure that as we're lifting the consumer, we're doing this slowly and cautiously to make sure that the consumer is not sliding down, not sliding up, and it's also comfortable. If the consumer is able to voice whether they're comfortable or not, we want to ask. Now, as I'm pressing up, I'm slowly pressing up, and the consumer starts to be lifted up. You want to make sure whatever the area of clearance is, we have about 6 to 12 inches. So that's where we're at now. We're right at about 6 to 12 inches. And I would ask the consumer, are they comfortable? If they're nonverbal, I may just give them a little back rub just to comfort them, because this is a scary part of the hoarding process. From here, my assistant is still there to ensure that she's safe. I'm going to lift up our clips. You're going to stick your toe underneath it and pop it up. All right. From here, we're unlocked. As he's guiding her, I will pull this back. Now, if you remember at the beginning of the video, got a little bit there. If you remember at the beginning of the video, I said when you're going into the wheelchair, you have to utilize this lever again to widen it. My assistant already turned the consumer so that she's parallel with the wheelchair, and he's going to adjust the wheelchair in the safest position. So we're there. Now this is key. My assistant's going to stay behind the wheelchair because as we're lowering it, the consumer's back pressure may tip the wheelchair, and in that case we have to slightly adjust it. But we do want to make sure that the consumer's back is in the wheelchair so that they can be seated comfortable. Now this could be a wheelchair, this could also be a toilet if you so chose. So from here, I would ask my assistant, are we good? Are we level? Because we look level, and we're going to start the process of lowering down the consumer. I'm going to gain control of the legs as my assistant gains control of the back, and we're going to slowly go down. Now this is where communication is important. I want to make sure that if he needs me to stop, I stop. If I see something wrong, I stop. As you can see, the wheelchair is starting to tip, so I'm going to pull this back a little bit. All right, from there, we're going to go down a little bit more. There we go. Now the consumer's down. Now from here, you want to make sure that the consumer's head is clear. It is here, and you're able to loosen up both straps. So right now we're only at 2 straps. My straps still have a lot of tension. So I'm going to let him loosen his straps. There we go. And then we're going to continue to go down to loosen the tension. Watching her head. Starts to level out. And there, I should be able to loosen the straps. There. And there. Now from here, I would clear the Hoyer. I'm gonna go ahead and clear her leg and make it small. Now, if the consumer was on the toilet, at this point, I would start here, and my assistant would grab on the other side, and we would slowly slide that back and forth and lift up at the same time, clearing the consumer's bottom. And it would take a little bit of time. We may have to lean. I'm going to lean her to my side. Are you clear? Yeah. All right. I'll lean her to the other side. Are you clear? So from here, if the consumer was on the toilet, at this point, they would be able to relieve themselves if that's what we needed to do. And we would just do the opposite if we needed to get the consumer back off. We would lean, we would pull it back underneath her, and then we would strap her back onto the Hoyer. All right, if you ever have any questions, please reach out to your house manager, an on-call, or a program manager. And that's our demonstration of the electronic Hoyer.